he's actually switched things up once again and gone more into that Sage style, giving a little bit more of extra space to Joe to now move over to that Viper. So I'm excited to see what they got cooked up for us. Of course, we still have to premise that this map is heavily favored for ACEND. This is their choice for a very good reason. But can VIVO KEYD truly pull off the upset?
It's whether Joe can sort of keep up to pace with the Viper. So far, he's under a lot of pressure. Starkso is there to try and chase it up, and MW0 not phased by this at all. Knows that the spike's been planted relatively close to him, wanting to use this attacker's toxic screen to his advantage, but there's a couple of bait plays out, and Frenzy wins against Starzo, who was already pretty low health, to be fair.
Yeah, they've gone for this almost old school original strat of just getting yourselves that afterplant out through the bathrooms, but MW0 just looking to fight through. CNED will trade. You got the paint shell of Zeke making things more awkward. They've still got 3 players standing. They've used the utility that they had, but realistically at this point it becomes so awkward for the remaining players. Zeke with another, leaving it all onto Heat to try and pick them all off, and even if he had, the time wouldn't have allowed it. ACEND off to a flying start with a pistol under their belt, and now, well, we expect a relatively weaker purchase coming out from VIVO KEYD.
Yeah, definitely. CNED getting 2 kills, the first and the last in that round. And the other thing I wanted to mention in regards to that, 10 first bloods on the side of Vikings. I keep saying VK.
Yeah,
VIVO Vikings.
I've been really trying hard not to do that.
VIVO KEYD, because I put it down as VK, and I read it's VKS. ACEND had 12, and Zeke and CNED had 10 of them. So ACEND had the 5v4 advantages for the majority of rounds in Icebox, and they still couldn't capitalize. So it's whether CNED on a completely different role. It's what we're used to seeing him on the Sage, unlike Heat that just plays Jet all of the time, every time. You want to see not only ACEND still confirming those first bloods, because that's a good start, but you also have to make sure that those rounds get confirmed at the same time. Otherwise, mental completely goes, and you know what that's like.
I think as well, like, just this map in general, for the players across the board, like, I think it's a very comfortable map for Starzo in particular. I think Zeke as well on the Raze is something I've enjoyed for quite a long time. And even Big Brimmy. I still like seeing a little bit of Brimmy coming out every once in a while. I know that NA have never really enjoyed it, but I'm a Brimstone fan.
You gotta love it. Especially on maps like Fracture. That's where you really like to see this agent come out. And in comparison to Astro, which, as Jess highlighted on the desk, that utility is scary, the quickness, the tempo that Brimstones can set with those instant smokes going down. Molly's great for post-plant util. Stimpykin's alright. Depending on if, yeah, it's good.
You can break some doors with it, you know, that's kind of useful sometimes.
I really would have wanted to have seen VIVO KEYD if I had to choose a comp for them. And this is just to see MW0 on the Raze, bear in mind. What Team Liquid run? The Jet and the Raze in their comp combined.
I think that was something that they also used to run, right? I might just be misremembering, but I feel like that was something that was also a VIVO KEYD comp in the past.
Yeah, I just want to see it once. I just want to see one MW0.
You just want MW0 on a duelist. That's what you're looking for. He's on a quasi-duelist.
We have to preface it as Heat does get the shorty kill in the end, stopping it from being a flawless at the very least. The CNED, it does at least get him closer to having that res. VIVO KEYD, seeing if they can make it more expensive. And at least try and chase down at the very least.
They kind of delivered him back the Spectre. Yeah. Like, it's not the biggest deal in the world because they're going to be coming in with rifles, but hey, they could have just got rid of that gun completely and it would have left with a pistol or frenzy or something like that.
What is it with ACEND of throwing guns through the teleporter?
Yeah, I don't want to go back to that. I'm still trying to forget that from last time that they just handed someone a rifle previously, but they've been gifted one themselves this time. It's like pay it forward.
Yeah.
They've received it back.
The boomerang always finds its way back. Now, ACEND favourites for this map. And I want to preface as well by saying MW0 was probably the best player from Brazil in 2020. Mostly played Raze. Everybody wanted to see him at these international events once they came through. He is here, but not on the Raze, so it's kind of like a give and take scenario. But to be fair, he's been holding his own, and the team play for VIVO KEYD has been the impressive part. It hasn't just been Heat delivering the show, he's been doing that, but supplemented by the rest of his team.
The sort of bait and run. Just see. I will find out if there's anyone there.
Literal knock and door run.
There is. That's not gone well. Especially in a round like this, when you're the ones coming in with the majority of the rifles, that is not the start that they were looking for. They've delivered an extra gun once again to the side of ACEND, and while He's going to have to try and pop off here. Now, they are just walking back through, already garnering some control towards Lamps, but this might just be to leave a snake in the grass. I think it's been expected, it's been spotted, and Heat is not going to fall for it.
Quite rightly, Keyless, I think this was one of the reasons why we saw ACEND 13-0 in Gambit, is just that Keyless was able to get so many nice lurks, the utility posted towards the A site. He isn't falling for it. There's some Astro utility coming out just to break this execute from ACEND. The Resurrect dedicated, and stars are going down. It's just farming up for Heat and MW0. And it's as clean as you can really get considering the circumstances. With Joe going down that early, good turnaround. Another example of ACEND not capitalizing on rounds where they have a man advantage.
Yeah, and a lot of it came down to just almost feeding those individual jewels to Heat. Like, as you said, sure, there's a few pieces of utility here and there, but if you give this man the opportunity to pop off 1v1, I think you'd bank on him to win the majority of the jewels.
Yeah, like, you know roughly where he's going to be. Like Bone Cold going for a bit of like high contact, trying to lurk through this utility. They won't expect me to still push considering all of this utility is there to try and stop me out. But Heat's just watching it, and because of that grab well, nobody's there to trade off with it. And that's been the big difference from what VIVO KEYD has been doing so well this series and what ACEND have been struggling on.
Well, Sage Wall committed early to get the Seekers online. It'll be very valuable for the information. Of course, that was a bonus round, so although I think it definitely could have been a lot more successful for ACEND, they now come in with the purchase of their own. So it's not like this is the be-all and end-all of the map. It could be a very easy response.
For sure. And just at this point, it was also the res being dedicated from CNED as well, which you don't want to. You want to dedicate enough on those bonus rounds, but not too much. So that's unfortunate, really. And CNED with the start. I like this default though. Things are slowing down now. Keyless again, like knowing that there's going to be an element of bait out on the side, and Starzo using that dissipate nicely, and that was a dissipate from the side of VIVO KEYD as well.
Yeah, I don't think that Murray's expected that to disappear in front of his eyes. I don't think he expected there to be other players there, and now MW0 is the only one standing within this site, hoping to try and blind someone with the flash. Instead, it is Starzo with his triple, leaving just Joe. And those are the sort of plays that I do think that I worry a little bit. Because that from Vixen, I'm almost certain that Muras was not ready for that smoke to disappear.
No. And it's just, really, that's been the only time that miscommunication has really played a noticeable part, to say the very least. And even if we did have comms, I don't speak Portuguese, so it would have been kind of lost on me.
I'm sure there are plenty of people out there who could maybe tell you what was said, but...
you say that on the other side, though, is just if that dissipate goes down and somehow Muras gets the kill there,
I just think it's more the fact that it looked like he wasn't ready. It's not the fact that he died. It's that just based on the fact that smoke, he's like, uh-oh. Like the sort of panic shot. But here we go. It is going to be 3-1. An early start for ACEND. I think, even though, as said, like going into this map, they're going to be feeling incredibly confident. I think it is important that they get off to a good start because we know. I think out of any team in this tournament, the most likely to just snowball out of control is probably going to be VIVO KEYD. Like, they are the team that if they get rolling, they're going to be very, very difficult to stop. So the fact that it has been some slower starts from some of their players, there have been a misstep here and there, they're definitely not as loud as they were, I'll tell you that much.
Yeah, mixed buy now for VIVO KEYD. I imagine the Blade Storm's going to be dedicated from Heat, and then it's just a case of MW picking up whatever really at this point. They might decide against it. There's still time. But one thing that I wanted to say to you is we saw 2 insane clutches from VIVO KEYD, probably the 2 most important rounds on Icebox. Who is the clutch player for ACEND? Who is the one that they can rely on? Is it still CNED?
I don't know, I think I'd always put it down to someone like Starzo. I think for me, he's the one that I would put to win clutches. That is a nice start. That's the Blade Storm gone as well, so although there is still an extra rifle here and there, it's not looking good in this round. That is, it's a stuck squid. It's on the beach, not really getting anywhere, but the fact that they've still both gone in towards that B site gives away the information. There's only going to be one player here. This Stinger would have to pull off something pretty ludicrous. It's the range that might work, but Killers is clinical and leaves just 2 remaining, and chances of anything are slim. I think Murray just has to save.
Yeah, MW0 doesn't have that much. He almost gets the kill onto CNED. Getting him to buy a little bit more armor for the next round. That's all you can really do. And yeah, Murray isn't looking to do much of anything. Just chilling in hookah. And I think what I really like what they do on the attack of Bind is because they have constant default pressure in some areas, like KEYD is going to set up that toxic screen roughly in the same positions. You usually see some kind of go across the A site from the bottom left to the top right. Allows players like Navera does it a bit to lurk through, Nats especially. But KEYD is always sort of watching this for defensive aggression, to find lurks, to find openings. It means that if VIVO KEYD even just see a stack of players towards B, they can't write off A, ever.
Oh, they're hunting him down. I don't think they're going to get him, surely. No, he's not even going to try and peek and get that kill. It's not worth the trade. So 4-1, again, ACEND looking good, and this is where we expect to see at least an investment from the opposing side. But I do think already you're starting to see a few liberties being taken. Like, you could see that from Zeke there, just walking straight into hookah. There wasn't a lot of utility to give him away. They're starting to get into that confident spot where I feel like this could just be that steam run up. Almost like we saw just yesterday, where it was like, okay, Team Secret, they've got themselves a map, 13-0.
Yep. And ACEND recently beating one of the best teams on the world on this map in another tournament, kind of adds to it. And on the attacking side as well. Like, the attacking side of ACEND is a pretty good masterclass, but again, it's those cases where context matters, obviously. Nats wasn't playing his best, and Gambit, I don't think, really wanted to show all that much, because yesterday looked a hell of a lot more tighter.
There we go, though. Aggression on both sides of the map. Heat spotting out in towards B long, the same happening on A. It's a battle for the orb, although more just trying to deny that extra little bit of space. It hasn't been fallen off, so although some time has been bought, the space is still going to be taken, and rotation will come through from VIVO KEYD. I think if there is going to be a response in this half, they need to at least do something in this round.
Showstopper as well to maybe allow a bit of a defensive, just really break on through. Seekers on the defense is going to find a lot. Vixen sneaking up on it as well. The trade's still working out in the favor, and KEYD, yet again, this is just like the spot that he really comes to life, this A-shot position. And whilst the showstopper was picked up from Zeke, it's not needed. He has just been sat here the whole time, seeing if there was going to be any lurks, any push-throughs, and just outmanned in the end on the A site from VIVO KEYD, or to VIVO KEYD, should I say.
Well, the thing is as well, they seem so reliant on actually just being aggressive. Like, when we're seeing these walk-through attempts into mid, and whether it's Heat making those plays, I think in this round it's Vixen making the play, like, they're just getting domed by whoever's on the other side. And ACEND, I don't really feel like, okay, in the previous round they were much more aggressive into hookah, knowing they were up against an eco, but in the majority of rounds they've been very, very patient around that A short side. So the fact that VIVO KEYD is still attempting to try and push it, it does worry me a little bit, but at the same time I guess they can't just leave with that null information of where ACEND are currently going to be, so they are struggling at the moment. Heat, we've seen him in one round manage to pop off when they pushed into his crosshair, and Bone Cold, well,
still without a kill, I think.
Just end up on a trade.
Yeah, both the IGLs have not picked up a kill at the very least.
Bone
Cold got one.
Woo!
So 1 and 4. And again, you're sort of looking like maybe a Joe as the ACS and being like, top bottom fragger. Just like not really up to par. But I guess the other thing to add to that as well is just in previous games in Masters 3, he didn't play Viper. And Viper is a hard agent to play on a map like this, especially against those EMEA teams that have been doing it all year. This is nothing new to KEYD.
Yeah, for sure. I think as well, like, we saw in the previous map, they changed a few things here and there. New player coming in on a role that we didn't really expect, Muriz as well, but it's a map that I think the team themselves switches.
No, not at all. And an interesting thing that I just looked up is that Zhao has played Viper in the past. It was only when we got to Masters 3 that they changed away from it, which often is a bit of a scary thing. I often think that if you come into a tournament like this off the back of qualifiers and you change it up, it's not because you were sitting on it for months and didn't want to use it because you expected to get to Masters Berlin. It's more, we want to throw stuff at the wall to see what sticks.
I think this is about to become very difficult already. Straight away, Zeke just clearing out this hookah control. We see how strong that raise can be. I think we've heard it from Boaster in the past. He doesn't like to see this map without a raise on it, and it's just getting worse. They're just pounding ultimates into the site. Nice shot from Heat, though. And the quick rotation from the remaining players could make things a little bit awkward. Starzo has spotted out Muriz, but there's going to be a swing. There's going to be a peek back in.
Nice
and
trade.
Joe has managed to find another. And they're slowly being closed in from behind. Now the spike is going to be retrieved. Joe is just being tagged down. He's going to have to try and swing out of that one, but he manages to escape, still keeping himself alive.
Meaning, Vixen now is starting to crunch. Maybe Zeke is holding on. He's doing relatively well in comparison, and now and it's a 2v1 situation for Ascend, and he is slowly picking up a gun.
The spike's gone. CNED just ran away. I don't know how Zeke managed to survive in that scenario, but if there was anybody you wanted in this clutch, it would be this man. It's not been a pretty round. It's not been a clean round. But it's one that VIVO KEYD came in with an inherent disadvantage. That Ascend decided to throw in a couple of ultimates just to try and keep it clean.
2 smokes
and
as
it's
well.
come down into a 1 versus 2 scenario. A chance to isolate the Jawber. Zeke is just hitting everything put in front of him. A 4K on the round, 6-1 for Ascend. And it definitely wasn't as clean as they would have liked, but...
It's also considering the buy for VIVO KEYD wasn't great in the end, and you dedicated 2 big ultimates off the get-go. The execute was fine, you'd really take MW0 out the round. I do like the attempt of the wall to slow things. Zeke just being able to hold on here, really not panicking too much, and considering that it was a bit of a awkward performance from him on Icebox, good mental reset. Like, it's just, he had so many first kills towards the start of Icebox, and then was the one being left on an island, taken out and giving VIVO KEYD a player advantage. Certainly when we saw Ascend's defense, but on the attack he has been that difference. He's been the clutch man that we wanted. Okay,
but this could be at least something here. We know how strong this operator is from Heat. They're going to force him off the angle, and actually CNED has crossed. I don't think he has any idea. This could be an issue. Timing, actually for both players, could be the problem, because I don't know if CNED would expect him to cross over. He does seem to be at least jiggling that angle, but on the other side of things, I don't know if Heat realizes that someone's got over to the box. The other thing as well is it could all be irrelevant, because we've now got the bathroom's control being taken, mid also being crunched, but on the other side, we just have this B control almost for free. There's only one man there to stop them. The star no longer in place, and CNED, he's already trying to free-fire the angle. He expected him to be there, and this is all just a distraction as they have just taken full control of B. And I feel like I said, they're just looking around like, guys? There's no one here?
This might be a bit of a misinformation play, though. They're sort of expecting maybe more plays to be over A. The rotation is slow, but still elbow control is pretty nice if you're in a position of Vixen. There is a Cosmic Divide as well to break up this site. The Viper's Pit, this is a nice position. We saw Nats using it yesterday. The defenders are still just walking right through it into that elbow spot.
It's going to be a tough retake, though. If your whole team is trying to make a push through elbow, it's going to leave you with some isolated jaw. And CNED, there's a little bit of a ledge. He can just swing out. This might just be the murder of every single member. That is watched. He is going to connect the shot. It's left to Zeke Bocold to try and hold on here. The Molotov falls, but it's actually only going to deny 1. He's managed to find a second. It's already halfway tick, trying to do it all. And the timing, is it going to be enough? Just trying to get the defuse through, and it's not. That Molotov just won them the round. And even though it looked good in the retake for VIVO KEYD, they still can't get it through.
Yeah, that Brimstone utility just went in and out. And just one of those moments where Ascend, it really looked locked in, especially when you're using that Viper's Pit. But VIVO KEYD do so much. The play from CNED was nice, being on top of that box, being able to swing out. But it just felt that VIVO KEYD did have just such a good read on it in the end. He was watching just the reaction for that in the end. And that's just a lovely round from start to finish. Especially from the side of Ascend, like CNED really keeping Heat over in that A showers position.
You know, I just put the molly, landed on the spike, we win, no problem. Like, it just looks so calm considering how close that round ended up being. Again, we've seen this already in the previous map. Ascend throwing in a pace change after these slow, defaulty rounds of just waiting for their opponents to push. They just run straight into this A site, and they've got themselves an afterplant. CNED taking a little bit of damage, but with the weaponry in play, this is going to be a much tougher task than what we saw in the last.
I would have assumed that from the last round that we just saw in these post plants, but the retake attempts have been decent for VIVO KEYD, just with these guns. Really, that's the only thing that's holding them back.
They're all spamming the box. It doesn't seem to matter, though. This man is just landing every single shot that's put in front of him. Finally, Vixen will get him down, but there is just so much utility. This is why this composition is so ratty, that they're just getting wrecked by Molotovs, by snake bites. There is no way you're getting that defusal through anytime soon. And we're 8 on the board now for Ascend. This is what we worried about when seeing this map on the board. And, well, for very good reason.
And just, I feel one of the noticeable things for Bone Cold especially is he knows his role and what he should be doing.
Yes.
He doesn't need to be the one that's going in and trying to lead with kills or clutch out in insane stuff. Leave that to CNED. Leave that to Zeke. And I think you highlighting just like the Molotov plays, both from KEYD and Bone Cold, they don't need to be the fancy ones. They just have a job to do, and VIVO KEYD have been struggling with that. Even from Icebox, like the anti-plant and post-plant utility, the lineups weren't quite connecting where they should do, and, well, ACEND know this map like the back of their hands.
Well, it has taken a long time to get this Viper ultimate online. It's been utilized almost instantly, but again, we're just going to see this run through almost instantly. I thought that was going to be the kill, but in fact, it's Heat that goes down. They will retain this extra control, but Zeke is just on fire. Again, he's going to just multi-frag them out of the round. This was a purchase from VIVO KEYD. They had an operator in this round. They had rifles. They had a Viper's Pit, and Zeke just kills them all in their spawn.
So far, this has been a masterclass from ACEND on this attack. Just sort of having a good look at some of the ideas that they have at the very least. And maybe not to the same extent of what we saw from Gambit on Breeze per se, but you can start to see at least some of the rounds that have come in and the different faces that they can show. Zeke playing super high contact into metal.
He's just having fun now. I think we've got to the point where ACEND have gone, yeah, I think we're good. We can switch things up a little bit, because Zeke's not, well, let's be real, if anybody's buying an operator on this team, it's not normally Zeke.
You do have CNED over on the Sage, so it's a bit different, but
true.
It's mostly on the defense, though, that you see that Sage opping. Now some information garnered on A. Just a Sage wall being placed in showers as a rotation is going to at least come in from Morris. The Resurrect being available. He wants to sort of be in and around the action. But considering this is such a high line defense from VIVO KEYD just because of these guns, it's really awkward to try and break through, and it's still having some modicum of success.
They managed to garner at least a rifle. Rez going to come through on either side, but there's also the orbital strike just to make it that little bit worse. He has found another. This round looking at least a little bit better, and there's still one man waiting. Vixen, he's got to try and stop them here. A kill is necessary, and actually Bone Cold doesn't have his gun out. He's going to be executed as he looks to try and run around the corner. VIVO KEYD have read this one excellently, but they need to make sure they convert it. CNED, the spike in hand, a nice hit from Heat as well, and leaving just that one man standing. He hasn't had to be the hero in any of these rounds so far, but this, surely impossible. 20 seconds, 4 players to find.
You're just keeping him locked in. If you can try and open up this site a little more, it'd be nice, but he knows that there's going to be a wraparound in that case. He's trying to pick up the spike. He's just been delayed perfectly. Not a bad anti-eco in the, well, great eco, a terrible anti-eco from the side of ACEND, like a nice thrifty. And just those kind of moments, as I was saying, ACEND like showing different faces, different styles, and not just executing onto a site 5 players. VIVO KEYD do have some response, just not the round you expected it to be on.
Yeah, I think as well the main thing I want to give credit for in this round in particular is actually just the read coming out from VIVO KEYD. Like, of course, he is... Okay, I don't think it's hit them too hard. But yeah, I think the read coming out, especially that little lurk play from Vixen, just denying them enough, finding that extra kill, and now they get the operator back. But there's a reason that we see it in CNED's hand most of the time, even if he's on a Sage, because he has denied that star player of Heat.
I really do like that they bring out those kind of guns to surprise, breaking the conditioning, I suppose. VIVO KEYD, I don't think we're really going to expect that all that much. And they've done a really good job of just shutting down Heat's operator, just across the rounds. And really, because of the one-sidedness of this half, we've not really seen the operator out on the side of VIVO KEYD all that much, especially Heat.
Yeah, I think the few times he's had it, he's been battered. Like, it's just not worked out for him at all.
This is, again, just like that no information of VIVO KEYD have, like already using that gravity well.
They both use Seekers.
Yeah. It was just very early utility coming out of Vixen. He has no clue. They're still going to try and fight it. And Morris, well, he's harder to move. Doesn't really have any more slow orbs. He's just going to try and stand and face and forces the teleport over from VIVO KEYD.
Oh, better from Joe. He's managed to isolate a kill, keeping himself alive, and Zeke hasn't actually been able to spot him, surviving at least for the moment, just hiding behind that utility, and the Viper finally comes online. 2 impactful kills that could make the difference to get them their third round onto the board. Lots of utility. Actually, Xenod's going to be pulled, but still manages to get himself the bump. The lineup comes through. It's VIVO KEYD at least getting themselves a small lifeline in this first half, but it was still a dominant half from ACEND.
You know what they say about 9-3 though? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. It's an irrelevant scoreline. There's no superstitions around it. And now ACEND, moving over to that defense. It's been par for the course for what you expect from ACEND, and VIVO KEYD tempered a little bit by the EMEA side.
Well, I know that Dash said he really loves himself a close 6-6 half. So we're going to throw it over to him to see what he thinks of this one.
And it's just naturally going to be a lot of, oh, we see this team using this Viper line, for example, let's just copy that, but maybe not really knowing or necessarily understanding some of the approaches that you could take. Saying that though, Joe's found a lovely bit of pocket space when it comes to this A control, and it's keenly watched by Keel as he has his suspicions, but he also wants to maintain that shell control as well. This is a nice little
trapped
crunch.
them. Yeah, they've trapped them in. They know. Wait, what?
Spike?
That calm. Oh, no, they are. They're going to run it all the way back, but they don't know that the players are there on the cross. This has gone from a retake A to a retake B in a matter of seconds, and actually MW Zera has caught Killers as he attempts to rotate. It's a bold strategy. I'm not sure if it was intended, because sending the spike through first definitely had its risks, but it has put them in an excellent spot.
Look where MW Zera is as well. Like, he's keeping Starzo in an awkward position, but knows that he needs to move away. He needs to help out his team in this post plan. And Bone Cold, bit of parkour to help him get up onto the high ground. The flash is a bit awkwardly timed, makes it awkward.
What?
Vixen traded out from Zeke, and Starzo now holding onto the site. MW0 blocked off by this wall. I think he can get around it though.
What? Well, yeah, he might have to at this point, because they're just sticking the defusal, holding it all the way, and no one gets there in time. ACEND, it looked like they were done after that rotation came back to be all the players in the right place at the right time, and instead, ACEND just stick it.
Yeah, MW0, there wasn't a gap in the wall to sneak around, and he really sort of held off on just trying to break it to an extent. Catch her by surprise, but it was a mental round in regards to where everybody ended up in the end. And Starzo just holding close, holding onto this site, and eventually getting that defuse in. The fact that even a bit of the wall wasn't broken by the time the defuse came in clearly shows that MW wasn't necessarily expecting it to be done and dusted like that.
Yeah, I also think just the reaction shot that came out of Zeke as he walks out was just disgusting. It definitely looked like he's on point in this map, and while what looked like the glimmer of hope has now fallen away. Now, they are forcing into this one, Ryan, and they've invested into a couple of Bulldogs, and definitely not the most common of weapons, but it will give them a range advantage over the defenders who might not expect it to be coming. They do still have to be careful, though.
I like that a little bit of Astro utility to force him out, but considering this is not really all that much like the utility being forced up, it means that Astro util is so important. Another bit going to be used, and now Starzo pushing through. This is what you want to see, just using that utility to peek out, catch a kill, and dismiss. And considering VIVO KEYD are constantly pushing through shot with no split, they don't really have a leg to stand on, even if this spike does get planted.
They're looking to try and hold them in position as they wrap back around already. Starzo finding another into the round. He's got Bone Cold alongside him, but the trades are coming back. It's left on to Heat again. A few opportunities in the clutch, hoping to try and bait someone out into swinging, but they know they have the advantage at this point. Is he going to try and sneak his way through to B?
30 seconds
He does have time. He could take the teleporter. I don't think anybody will be able to beat him there, but I think he wants a duel first. He wants to try and isolate one of these players, try and stop them from swinging behind him, but while he's doing all of this, Bone Cold is slowly making his way through, and these baits are just not working whatsoever. Zeke just holding the line. Although he's been spotted, he has no idea that Bone Cold is in from behind. We spoke about his individual play. Hasn't been the greatest in this game, but the impact from Bone Cold definitely has been there.
Not too fast on the rotate that he gets isolated in a duel. Zeke as well, just not over running into this, considering this was a force as well from VIVO KEYD.
Yeah.
And money's not going to be good. It was just like a last-ditch attempt, and it almost worked out. There were a few of those rounds that we saw an Icebox really going the way of VIVO KEYD. But I like that Zeke, we saw some clutch moments, but we also just saw some smart decision-making to not give Heat those 1v1 duels.
Yeah.
Really put Heat in his back pocket there.
Yeah, now we got what is going to be another force fight. Now there is a rifle invested in onto Starzo. He's also got his Seekers with the amount of kills he's managed to get in the early rounds, so it's going to leave them in a tougher spot, that's for sure. Still, though, it's not that different in terms of the actual investment. Like, both teams coming in with at least a rifle or two. Both teams with an okay amount of utility. I do think maybe that's where VIVO KEYD are a little bit further behind, but the fact is they're basically forcing into this game. If they lose this round, they're going to have to do the same again just to not lose completely. And while we might not see a full buy from them whatsoever.
I don't think, considering you're looking at stats, VIVO KEYD's ecos or anti-ecos were particularly strong from Masters. They're going to have to really make it work now if they want to put ACEND under that pressure, but this is just experience winning out. A little bit manic, but that's what you kind of expect from both these teams at this point.
And taking the advantage, CNED actually peeks back in off the edge of the smoke. Now we have seen at least a trade back and forth, but the fact is the spike is down on the other side of the map, so this attack currently coming in onto A is almost just to try and clear things out a little bit in heat. He was so clinical in the last map. Instead, he's now falling to CNED, a chance for the ace, but I feel like Joe's just gonna burn Bone Cold with another Molotov kill. We've seen a few of those, and ACEND hit their 12th. It's gonna be only 4 spies in this half from VIVO KEYD, as they've got to go for another.
It wasn't really like the 200 IQ lineup as well. It was just close enough.
Don't push me.
Yeah, effectively, yeah. It was smart enough in the end. And actually sort of looking at it as well, the eco rounds from VIVO KEYD, granted there wasn't really that many, were pretty decent in the end. But now it's really has to be that, because the last 3 rounds they've just tried to buy up, and it's really sort of following into ACEND. To be fair though, if ACEND lose this round and we see VIVO KEYD getting 4, their money isn't great considering it's come down to a lot of like 1v2s, 1v1s.
At the same time, they now need to win 9 rounds in a row just to survive in the map, so...
You never know. You see Furia yesterday?
I don't... Well, they lost.
They did, but they made it closer.
they got part of the way there, I guess. I can't say I'm much of a believer, but I like your optimism, Ryan. You know what? It's not what I'm used to in a duo.
I wonder why.
CNED getting pressured. He's just gone past.
I realize as well, like being able to just wrap around like this, because there's been 0 showers pressure coming in for VIVO KEYD. They just 5-stacked through one part, and really ACEND are ready to just smash this one to bed.
He's just running in behind them, not even trying to slow down. He does a lot of damage, but doesn't take the kills. But even still, he's bought some extra time. The shotgun doing damage, but the trade's coming back thick and fast, and it's left onto Joe. He's being naded into oblivion. There is no chance at survival, and it will be that defusal. The map is done. ACEND have dominated VIVO KEYD, and we will be heading into Breeze somewhat as expected.
It's what we've wanted to see from a couple of these EMEA teams.